That cat, right at the beginning of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, I mean, it's just sitting there, casually reading a map on Privet Drive.
It's bizarre.
It is. It's so bizarre, and it completely throws you off. Like, from that very first moment, you know that everything you thought you knew about the world is about to be flipped upside down.
It's like Rowling's using these little disruptions of the ordinary to signal this fundamental shift in reality, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today, those initial moments of strangeness and how the key characters are introduced. We've got the book excerpts as our guide, and we're going to explore how these opening scenes lay the groundwork for the magical journey that we all know and love.
Absolutely.
And for you listening, our aim is to really highlight how Harry and the magical world are brought to life through these unusual events.
Right, right. We're going to go beyond just what happens and dig into why those first moments are so significant, you know, how they set the stage for the whole series.
Okay, so let's start with Mr. Dursley. He's having a pretty peculiar day, right? I mean, he sees the cat reading the map, then he sees those people in cloaks whispering, and he's already uneasy, especially about the Potters. It's like he can sense something's off.
And his reaction is so classic Dursley. He just wants everything to be perfectly normal. It's not just that he finds these things odd. It's like they're a threat to his whole worldview, you know?
Yeah, that need for order, for predictability. It's almost like a commentary on society, on how we often fear anything that doesn't fit in.
Oh, definitely. Even in this fantastical world, Rowling's tapping into something very human, that resistance to the unfamiliar. Mr. Dursley's not just uncomfortable. He's actively trying to reject anything that challenges his very ordinary life.
And how does he deal with all this strangeness? He buries himself in work. Literally, he focuses on this drill order.
It's almost funny, right? But also kind of relatable. Like when things get weird, we cling to the mundane.
Right. He's using his job, these everyday details, as a way to block out all the unsettling things happening around him. But of course, the strangeness just keeps escalating. The cat's still lurking around, and then, boom, Dumbledore shows up. Out of nowhere.
And he's putting out streetlights with that put-outer thing, and he's got this twinkle in his eye when he sees McGonagall, who's a cat at this point. It's a pretty memorable entrance.
Right. It's like, bam, magic is real, and it's right here in little old Privet Drive.
Exactly. Dumbledore's arrival isn't just a fun introduction. It's a signal that the magical world is, well, it's not just hidden, it's actively shaping events. And then, of course, McGonagall transforms back into herself, and their conversation starts to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, there's a definite sense of celebration in the air. Voldemort's gone. But also this underlying worry. The Muggles are seeing things, rumors are spreading. It's clear that things are still pretty precarious.
And that dialogue does so much in such a short time. It tells us about the big events that had just happened and how they're impacting both the magical and Muggle worlds.
And then Dumbledore brings up Harry's future fame. He's concerned, right? I mean, he's worried about this baby being saddled with a reputation he didn't earn for something he doesn't even understand. It makes you think about the burden of early fame, the pressure it can put on a child.
Right, and Dumbledore, even in this early scene, he's already thinking long-term. He's worried about Harry being defined by this event before he even has a chance to figure out who he is.
And then there's McGonagall's more practical worry. How are they going to get Harry? It's almost comical next to Dumbledore's grand concerns.
It is, and then, boom, Hagrid arrives, carrying baby Harry.
Hagrid's entrance is just perfect. He's this big, booming presence, so different from the uptight Dursleys. He's literally Harry's first real connection to the magical world.
And you get the sense that he embodies these different values, you know,
Yeah.
loyalty, warmth, this deep connection to magic. He's not as worried about secrecy as Dumbledore.
And then Dumbledore, before he leaves, he uses the put-outer one last time to relight the streetlights. It's like he's trying to erase the traces of magic, you know, to make everything seem normal again.
Right, at least on the surface. But of course, leaving Harry with the Dursleys, well, we know that's not exactly going to be a normal childhood.
Okay, so Harry's life with the Dursleys, the cupboard under the stairs, the way they treat him compared to Dudley, it's pretty grim. What do these early years tell us about Harry?
They show us how much he's missing, you know, love, acceptance, a family. The Dursleys are so cruel, and that makes his discovery of the wizarding world and the relationships he forms there even more meaningful.
And even with the Dursleys, there are these moments of accidental magic, like that time at the zoo with the boa constrictor.
It's like magic is bubbling up inside him, trying to get out no matter how much the Dursleys try to suppress it. And then, of course, there are the Hogwarts letters.
The letters. And Uncle Vernon's reaction is just, I mean, he completely loses it, nails the letterbox shut, takes the family to that ridiculous shack on the rock.
He's terrified, isn't he? Terrified of magic, of Harry's connection to it. He's desperate to keep his family, especially Dudley, away from anything that might disrupt their carefully constructed world. But of course it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. Because in that storm-battered shack, Hagrid bursts in, birthday cake in hand. It's a turning point for Harry.
Absolutely. Hagrid shows up, and it's like, bam, the magical world has officially entered Harry's life. And he can't believe the Dursleys have kept Harry in the dark about his heritage. It makes him furious.
It does. And that fury tells us a lot about the wizarding world, doesn't it? It shows how important community is to them, how they value their history and traditions. Then, of course, there's the letter itself with all those details about Hogwarts, the supplies he needs. It's a lot for Harry to take in.
It's overwhelming, right? He's suddenly got this whole new reality to process. And then, just when you think things can't get more dramatic, Aunt Petunia has that outburst about her sister, or Lily, about her own history with magic. It adds another layer to their animosity, doesn't it?
It does. It shows that their hatred isn't random. It's rooted in this personal bitterness, this resentment. It makes their treatment of Harry a little more understandable, though still awful, of course. And then Hagrid drops the truth bomb about Harry's parents.
He finally tells Harry how they really died, that it was Voldemort who killed them. He doesn't sugarcoat it. And he tells Harry he'll be famous at Hogwarts, which is an interesting contrast to what Dumbledore was saying earlier.
It is. Hagrid sees fame as a good thing, a sign of Harry's importance. Dumbledore's a little more wary. It shows the different ways people are going to view Harry and how he's going to have to navigate those expectations.
Right, right. And then they head off to Diagon Alley. And Harry's just, I mean, he's completely blown away by everything he sees. It's such a fun part of the book, experiencing this magical world through his eyes.
Absolutely. And even the journey to London is memorable, with Hagrid struggling with the underground. It's funny, but it also shows how separate the two worlds are, you know? The wizards have their own way of doing things.
Yeah, they don't really need Muggle inventions.
And then they arrive at the Leaky Cauldron. It's like this hidden gateway tucked away in plain sight. And the way everyone greets Hagrid, it shows how much he's respected in the wizarding world.
It's a real contrast to how he's treated in the Muggle world, right? Here, he's one of them.
And then Gringotts, the wizarding bank, the goblins, those high-security vaults, and Vault 713 with the, well, with the you-know-what.
So much mystery there.
Yeah.
It really sets up the intrigue for it later in the book. And Harry suddenly has all this money. It's a huge change from the Dursleys' cupboard.
Right. It's not just about the money itself. It's about his connection to his family, to his heritage. And then it's time to shop for school supplies. Madame Malkin's, where he meets Draco Malfoy, and right away you can see the beginnings of their rivalry.
Oh, totally. Malfoy's all about his pureblood status. And you can see how much that rubs Harry the wrong way. It's a taste of the prejudice that exists in the wizarding world, right?
And then Ollivanders, the wand choosing the wizard, that scene is just so magical. And then, of course, the connection between Harry's wand and Voldemort's, that shared phoenix feather. It's huge.
It sets up their link, their destiny almost. It's like they're bound together in some way. And in the middle of all this, Harry gets Hedwig.
Ah, Hedwig. She's more than just a pet, isn't she? She is a symbol of Harry's connection to the magical world, his first real friend. And even after all this, after seeing Diagon Alley, Gringotts, Ollivanders, Harry still feels lost.
He doesn't really understand why he's famous. He doesn't know the whole story about his parents.
Exactly. He's got all these questions, but no answers. And then it's time to head to Hogwarts. That anticipation, that excitement, and the mystery of Platform 9 3/4.
It's another barrier between the Muggle world and the magical world, and you have to know the secret to get through.
And then he meets the Weasleys. They're so welcoming, so kind. It's such a contrast to the Dursleys.
The Weasleys represent family, right?
Yeah.
They take Harry in, give him a sense of belonging he's never had, and then, of course, there's Ron.
On the train, and it's the start of a beautiful friendship. They're both a little nervous, a little unsure themselves, but they connect over that. And then Harry casually mentions Voldemort, and Ron freaks out.
Yeah, that shows you how much fear there is around Voldemort, how people are still traumatized by what he did. And Harry, he just doesn't get it yet.
It's another sign that he's still an outsider. And then they start talking about fitting in at Hogwarts. It's something everyone worries about, starting at a new school. But for Harry, it's even more intense. He's entering this whole new world.
And that shared anxiety, it brings them closer together, doesn't it? They're in this together.
Yeah.
And they open the chocolate frogs and those famous witches and wizards cards. It's such a fun way to learn about the history of the magical world.
Yeah, those little details are great. Okay, so they arrive in Hogwarts. It's huge, it's magical, it's everything Harry could have imagined. And they've already met Hermione on the train, who's clearly done her homework.
Hermione's the brains of the operation, right? She approaches magic like a scholar. She's going to be essential to their future adventures.
Totally. And then the sorting ceremony. That enchanted ceiling, the sorting hat singing, it's all so visually stunning.
And so much pressure. The sorting hat's deciding your whole future. And Harry, he's terrified of being put in Slytherin.
He really doesn't want to go there. And you can tell that the hat's considering it. Not Slytherin, not Slytherin. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. And then Gryffindor and the Weasley twins are going crazy.
It's a perfect fit for Harry, right? Gryffindor is all about bravery, about standing up for what's right. It's the opposite of everything Voldemort represents. And then there's the feast, nearly headless Nick floating around, and Dumbledore's announcements. He casually mentions the third-floor corridor, which, of course, is a huge red flag for the audience.
Classic foreshadowing, like, okay, Dumbledore, we know something's going down there, and Harry's instantly famous. But it's not all fun and games, is it? Some kids are jealous, some are wary.
It makes it hard for him to just be a normal kid, right? He's got this reputation he didn't ask for. And then there's Snape.
Snape. His first potions class is just brutal. He's so harsh, so unfair. He clearly has it out for Harry.
It's one of the big mysteries of these early books. Why does Snape hate Harry so much? We're given hints, but the full story doesn't come out until later. And then there's Harry's first flying lesson.
He's a natural.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And he catches Neville's Remembrall, and then he gets picked to be the Gryffindor Seeker. It's a huge confidence boost for him.
It gives him a place where he can shine, right?
Yeah.
Where he can be recognized for his talent. And then, of course, the duel that never happens.
Malfoy's trying to get Harry in trouble, but it backfires. And they end up running into Filch and Mrs. Norris. And then, boom, they stumble upon Fluffy, the three-headed dog guarding that forbidden corridor. It's like the mystery's kicking into high gear now.
And they're totally hooked.
Ugh.
Halloween rolls around, and they're already obsessing over Fluffy.
They're practically excited about encountering a giant three-headed dog.
They're kids, and they love adventure. And then Harry gets that mysterious package, and Hermione's already trying to keep them in line.
Yeah, she's not having any of their rule breaking. But then chaos. A troll's loose in the dungeons. It's a genuinely scary situation, and they have to work together to survive.
It's a real turning point for their friendship, right? They go from being wary of each other to relying on each other. And Hermione ends up taking the blame to protect Harry and Ron.
Yeah, she shows how loyal she is, even if it means breaking the rules herself. And then, the first Quidditch match. Gryffindor versus Slytherin. It's intense.
Snape's the referee, which makes everything even more nerve-wracking. You just know he's going to be biased.
And then Harry's broom starts going haywire. It's clearly jinxed, and everyone thinks it's Snape. Hermione even sees him muttering something and setting Quirrell's robes on fire. It all adds to the suspicion around him.
It's a brilliant misdirection, right? We're led to believe Snape's the villain, but of course the truth is much more complicated. But despite all the drama, Harry catches the snitch and wins the match for Gryffindor.
It's a huge win, especially with everything else going on. And then Hagrid defends Snape, saying he wouldn't try to hurt Harry. But then he mentions Nicholas Flamel.
Out of nowhere. And it's clear that this Nicholas Flamel is somehow connected to the mystery.
And Christmas at Hogwarts. It's a bit bittersweet for Harry because so many kids go home and he's stuck with the Dursleys, but he gets those amazing presents. The Weasley jumper, Hagrid's flute, and the invisibility cloak.
The gifts are also symbolic, right?
Right.
The jumper represents belonging, the flute, his connection to Hagrid and magic, and the cloak, well, it belonged to his father.
And it's going to come in handy for all their future adventures. And then there's the Mirror of Erised.
Yeah.
Harry sees his parents, and it's just heartbreaking. He misses them so much.
The mirror shows your deepest desire, right? And for Harry, it's family. And Ron sees himself as head boy and Quidditch captain, which shows his ambition, his desire to be recognized.
And Harry, he gets obsessed with the mirror, and Dumbledore has to step in. He gives him that warning about dwelling on dreams and forgetting to live. And his answer about seeing socks in the mirror is so cryptic.
It's classic Dumbledore, right? He gives you just enough to make you think, but not enough to solve the puzzle. But he's right, of course. Getting lost in what could be is dangerous. You have to live in the present.
Harry's plagued by nightmares after seeing his parents in the mirror, and the search for Nicholas Flamel continues. They're determined to find out who he is and what he has to do with all this.
It's like a puzzle they can't let go of. And then Another Quidditch match, and Snape's the referee again. Everyone's on edge.
And Dumbledore shows up, which is unusual. And Harry catches the snitch super fast.
Like something's up, right? And then Harry sees Snape sneaking off to meet Quirrell in the Forbidden Forest.
Yeah, and he overhears them talking about hocus pocus and loyalties. It makes it seem like they're up to something shady, that maybe they're working together. It definitely throws Harry off.
And it throws us off, too. We're meant to suspect Snape.
Mm.
And then Hagrid accidentally spills the beans about Nicholas Flamel. He says he's the only one who knows how to make the Philosopher's Stone.
And then he lets slip that he told a stranger how to get past Fluffy. It's a disaster.
It's a huge mistake, and it puts the stone in danger. And then, just to add to the chaos, Norbert hatches.
The baby dragon. And Malfoy sees him, so they have to get rid of him before anyone else finds out. They end up sending him to Charlie Weasley in Romania.
But it means sneaking out at night, breaking even more rules. They get caught, of course, by Professor McGonagall.
And they lose a ton of house points and get detention. And that detention, it's in the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid.
Which is never a good idea. They find a dead unicorn and see unicorn blood, and then they run into the centaurs.
The centaurs are creepy. They talk in riddles and give these cryptic warnings, and then they see a cloaked figure drinking the unicorn blood.
It's terrifying. And Firenze shows up and saves Harry. He tells him even more about Voldemort, about the danger he's in.
It's a lot for Harry to handle. And then exams. Back to school, back to reality. But Harry keeps getting this pain in his forehead, which is never a good sign.
So it's a connection to Voldemort, right? It's getting stronger.
They confront Hagrid about the stranger who got Norbert, and he says he didn't see the stranger's face.
And it hits them. What if it was Voldemort? And then they try to talk to Dumbledore, but he's gone.
So they decide to go after the stone themselves. They can't let it fall into the wrong hands. They even have to stop Neville from going with them.
Yeah, that's a tough moment. But they're desperate. And then the trapdoor, they have to get past Fluffy, the Devil's Snare, those flying keys, the giant chess game.
It's one obstacle after another, and they barely make it through. Ron's sacrifice in the chess game is just heroic.
He's willing to put himself in danger to let Harry continue. It shows how much he cares. And then finally, they reach the last chamber. And it's Quirrell.
Quirrell, it's such a shock, and he's the one who's been trying to steal the stone all along, and Snape was actually trying to protect Harry.
It completely flips everything on its head. We've been so focused on Snape, and then bam, it was Quirrell the whole time.
And Quirrell can't get the stone from the Mirror of Arised. Only someone who wants to find it but not use it can get it. And Harry, of course, he just wants to protect it.
He's not greedy, he's not power hungry. And then Voldemort's voice comes out of Quirrell. He's weak, but he's alive.
And he tries to get the stone from Harry, but when Harry touches him, Quirrell starts burning. It's his mother's love, her sacrifice, that's protecting him.
It's one of the most powerful themes in the series, right? Love is the strongest magic of all.
Yeah.
And Voldemort, he flees. He can't touch Harry, not yet. And Harry passes out.
He wakes up in the hospital wing, and Dumbledore explains everything. The stone's been destroyed, Nicholas Flamel's gonna die, but he says it's like going to sleep.
It's a peaceful way to think about death, isn't it? Dumbledore's always so wise. And Ron and Hermione visit, and then Hagrid comes in, and he's blaming himself for what happened.
And he gives Harry the photo album of his parents. It's so sweet. And then the end-of-year feast. And it looks like Slytherin's going to win the House Cup.
But then Dumbledore starts awarding last-minute points. To Ron for his chess game, to Hermione for her logic, and to Neville for standing up to his friends.
And Gryffindor wins. It's the perfect ending to an amazing year. And then they're on the train home, saying goodbye to Ron.
It's the end of one adventure, but the start of so many more.
So much happens in just this first book, and it all sets the stage for the rest of the series. It makes you think about those key moments, those turning points that shaped Harry's destiny.
Like his sorting, or his first Quidditch match, or maybe even that first encounter with Fluffy. Those moments, they changed everything.
And even his time with the Dursleys. As awful as it was, it probably made him stronger, more resilient. It made him appreciate the friendships he found at Hogwarts even more.
It's like those difficult experiences prepared him for the challenges to come.
What are your thoughts, listener? What do you think was the most crucial moment in these early chapters? How do you think Harry's experiences shaped him? If you've got any sources that dive deeper into this, send them our way. We'd love to explore this more.
Absolutely. There's always something new to discover in the world of Harry Potter.
Until next time.